How do you answer the question asked by Jesus, "Who do you say that I am?"
I think first and foremost, a very successful religious leader, probably the most successful in the entire world in the history of humanity. So pretty much like my like idea of how like thoughts and like politics and like religions are passed on through generations is how successful they are to the current generation that's like implying them. So like Jesus like gave his thoughts back like a few thousand years ago, and they're still relevant today. And I think that speaks to like the magnitude of like what a great teacher he was on the moral teachings. Yeah, I just say that as his effectiveness with how long his teachings have lasted show that what he thinks is completely relevant to a large amount of people, being Christianity is the largest religion in the world right now. So I think his message is very popular to pretty much everybody because of its roots in like the afterlife and doing good deeds and the power in the person, which a lot of people enjoy because people are people.
Has your understanding of Jesus changed as you have matured?
Starting as a young kid, I went to Incarnate Word Academy, nice Catholic grade school in Parma Heights. Shout out. But yeah, I was raised in the faith. My entire immediate family and my extended family are like all Catholics to some extent. So I was like brought up like immersed in this culture and stuff. And up until like seventh and eighth grade, I really didn't question it that much. I went to church every week and just did whatever I had to do. I prayed and everything, and then just when I started entering high school, I just started really questioning it more and asking like why I believe things, which is kind of started by reading the book 1984 by George Orwell. That kind of started that process. So my transformation with faith has kind of happened since freshman year at Ignatius. I would say I moved toward. I would say I'm more secular since I've come to Ignatius, mainly because what I've experienced here through like history classes, English classes, science classes. I wouldn't. I still see goodness, truth, and beauty within the Catholic faith and stuff, but it's just not something that I see myself practicing right now or within the future. I've found other avenues that I could receive fulfillment and peace of mind through, and I'm just following those paths right now. And if my path leads back to Catholicism, I'd be completely fine with that, but it's just not where I am right now. How do you answer the question asked by Jesus, "Who do you say that I am?"
I would say that Jesus was definitely one of the most influential humans to ever walk the earth. Probably the most well-known person to ever have lived, and just that how widespread his knowledge and his life was understood by so many people across the world. Jesus to me though was always someone that I learned about growing up as a kid because I've always gone to Catholic school. I also went to Incarnate Word Academy, second shout out. And ever since being a kid, I learned that through Jesus, more through his example than through understanding and really believing in things like the resurrection or the more complex parts of the Bible. Instead, when I was growing up, I just learned how to live like Jesus and to really understand what it means to be a moral Catholic and to really have strong set values, which is what I practiced and learned growing up.
Has your understanding of Jesus changed as you've matured? Explain your answer using concrete examples.
My understanding of Jesus since I've been a kid has changed a lot. When I was a kid, I learned more about the example of Jesus and not really the complex parts of the church, which those complex parts didn't really come into play until I was around a freshman or sophomore in high school. And really in youth group is where I started struggling to understand and really fully believe in those parts of the church. It became a huge inner conflict for me as I really wanted to pursue my faith and really keep going to church and kind of just keep the friends that I already had, learn to grow with. But throughout that process, I started to get really conflicted and really upset with myself. So what I decided to do was just take a total step back from faith and kind of just start to reorganize my values and find out what makes me happy and what should make me happy and what is good for me. So as I took that step back, I kind of stopped going to church for a little bit and I started reading more into philosophy and reading into a lot of great writers and a lot of Buddhist ideas too. And from that, I've learned to kind of start on this process and this road to figuring out what I really believe and what makes me happy as an individual and what is good and moral for me. How do you answer the question asked by Jesus, "Who do you say that I am?"
I would see Jesus as a man or as a person or as an idea of the goodness that resides within all people. And much like the goodness of anything, it also has to be tempered with that which is its opposite, which is the evil or the non-existence of dedication to good. The Jesus that we think of, the historical figure, is nothing more than the representation of the potential of all of us, with or without a religious attachment, so that the idea of doing good, being men for others, seeing the best of all possible solutions and worlds is an ideal and a goal that has to be worked toward. One needs to be conscious of and constantly adapting to, so that the historical Jesus as a man leaves us a model of what we can become.
Okay. And then the second question, has your understanding of Jesus changed as you have matured?
If it hasn't, it should have. When we begin our lives, we have a very strong innocence. We are all brought into the world pure. We have to learn to deal with situations and people from all walks of life. And in order to be inclusive and understanding of all people, to be Jesus-like, to be Christ-like, to live the life of the Gospels, we have to meet people where they are. Children are not like that. Children are very honest and sometimes very brutal toward each other. They will easily notice the person who's missing a limb and announce to that person and others as if it was somehow a hidden secret. However, we learn as we become adults, as we encounter more and more people from more and more diverse backgrounds, that there is more of an inclusiveness to be Christ-like than to be very insulated from. So children need to grow and need to leave and need to adapt, which is what adults should do before they return to that childlike stage and, of course, the end of their lives.